The talk of Tennessee football spring practice is, of course, the quarterbacks, but the offense overall, Josh Heupel is in good shape.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday afternoon, everybody. Welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols, and I am your host, Eric Cain. Appreciate you guys for being here, being a part of the show as always. Got a fun little bonus show out right now for talking Tennessee football spring practice with host of Locked On SEC, Chris Gordy. We're going to talk Tennessee, Faizon Brandon, George MacIntyre, the defense, the wide receivers. We're going to talk about the offensive line, the running backs, and Deshaun Bishop, and then some big picture stuff. Is the SEC championship game really relevant anymore, right? SEC quarterback rankings, all that and more coming up in my 20-minute conversation that I had end of last week with Chris Gordy, host of Locked On SEC, but I wanted to put it here on this channel as well because it's still extremely relevant. So without further ado, my conversation with host of Locked On SEC, that is Chris Gordy.
Eric, we're into the thick of spring, man, and I figured a couple weeks into spring ball might be a good time to get you on and go, where are we the latest in the Tennessee quarterback battle? What's going on?
Yeah, Chris, what's up, man? 2 scrimmages in. They had scrimmage number 2 on Thursday morning, and, you know, really the talk at camp is the defense. New coaches, some new players, new scheme, brand new scheme, and the defense obviously was not very good last year, but the defense has done a really, really good job. Defenses are always usually ahead in camps, but it's all new. Defense has been making plays. So that's good to hear if you're a Tennessee fan. But as far as the quarterbacks are concerned, I mean, yeah, they're moving right along. I think in 2 scrimmages, the true freshman 5-star Faizon Brandon has certainly flashed. He's made some really good throws. Scrimmage number 1, he had a touchdown drop by one of his receivers. He threw a pick 6 in the second scrimmage, but he chased him down and nearly got him at the 1-yard line. The defensive back was able to get in, but tried to tackle him at the 1-yard line. I think it was 2 drives later, Faizon was back out there and threw a touchdown to Deshaun Brandon, the tight end. So a really nice response that you like to see. It feels like everybody's really surprised with how quickly Faizon Brandon is coming along. I wouldn't say like shocked or anything because he's uber talented and all that, but young quarterbacks, you were just talking about Jared Curtis. You're going to take your lumps, points and times. And so, but he's come along. He's adapted very well. George MacIntyre, again, I wouldn't say he's been bad, but I don't think in 2 scrimmages he has played nearly as good as he would have liked, taking too many sacks. He led a field goal drive in the Thursday scrimmage, and I don't know how many offensive possessions. I don't know what defense they were going up against and all that. All this to say, nobody's going to be named the starting quarterback at the end of spring practice. That'll come after the second scrimmage in fall camp, right before the start of the season. George MacIntyre, I think, has some work to do. Faizon Brandon, I think, has been a pleasant surprise, and that just kind of makes things more interesting between those 2 guys heading out of spring and, of course, into the summer months.
I notice nobody's really bringing up the Colorado kid, Staub. Is it basically it's a 2-horse race between MacIntyre and Brandon?
Yeah, it's a 2-horse race. I mean, if Ryan Staub is playing, it's because those guys are injured or the wheels have fallen off, or it would be quite the upset. But it's a 2-horse battle between Faizon Brandon and George MacIntyre with Ryan Staub there as the 3rd string and to be a depth piece.
Where were we at this point last year? I mean, I think when Aguilar came in, we all thought, okay, he's gonna be the starter. But what did you see from him early on, and how quickly was everybody's reaction at this? Like, I'm trying to remember this point in spring a year ago that we were like, oh, okay, Aguilar is going to be good and he's going to be just fine.
Well, again, it was a whirlwind, right? He wasn't here in spring. And this time last year, it was Nico. Nico was still here. Now, ask me again a week from today, and I'd say, well, Nico's not here. He no-showed, and that's when it all went down. But it was Joey Aguilar, came in mid-May, and, of course, we in the media, we didn't get to see any of Joey Aguilar until fall camp. But to answer your question, in a camp setting, it was him going up against Jake Merklinger, who's now at UConn, and George MacIntyre. And George MacIntyre flashes the young freshman kind of going out there. And, in these scrimmage settings, you can call plays to kind of fit one of these guys and kind of get them going and all that. So that's why, I think you can kind of skew some of this stuff. But it was after the second scrimmage of fall camp when Joey Aguilar just took it and never looked back. He was always going to be the guy, but he had to go out there and prove it, right? And he went through a couple of lumps early on, learning the tempo, learning the speed, the terminology, and all that. No spring practice for him, but it was that second scrimmage for Aguilar when he took ownership of it. But again, he was always going to be the guy.
Yeah, now it's all coming back to me. We did a live show reacting to all the news and everything else. Yeah, it's wild to think too. In this world, there is no second portal anymore. So it's the guys you come out of spring with. There's no movement anymore. Those guys are going to be your guys come into the fall. I guess the question is, what does Brandon have to show for them to go, okay, you know what, he's earned it? I mean, look, we know he's got the big arm and all that, and there's going to be flashes where he'll make a big throw downfield. But is it more all those little things, the short reads, the short checkdowns, all that kind of stuff that really is what being 80% of what an SEC quarterback is?
I think it's processing, right? I mean, it's processing those reads. Receiver comes off the end of his break. It's an option route. Are you throwing to the right targets? Your first read does this. You go to your second read. In man on line of scrimmage does this. You keep the football. You pitch the football. You throw the football in an RPO. You give the football in that type of situation. It's processing information at a fast clip, and certainly all quarterbacks have to do that. Certainly in this offense. So I think being consistent in those measures day in and day out, got to continue to go out there and ball out. And again, I'm not trying to come out here and say like, oh, it's all Faizon. He's won the job. He's been perfect. Again, I haven't seen these scrimmages. They're closed doors. So from what I've heard, he's been far from perfect, but he's flashed and he's made some big plays. And you can make the argument that he is in scrimmage settings outplaying George MacIntyre right now. So if that's the case, he's got to continue doing that and be consistent from day in and day out. And then I think, when you're far along in fall camp, if he's doing that, then, Faizon Brandon will be your quarterback. And, Josh Heupel has started true freshman quarterbacks before. Dylan Gabriel, and I understand Dylan Gabriel is quite a good quarterback, and he was much better than playing at UCF. But he started a true freshman in Dylan Gabriel from the second game on, and gosh, he threw for like 3,700 yards that year. So he does have experience in working in young quarterbacks. So if Faizon Brandon's the guy, it wouldn't be unheard of. Long way to go, but I do think it's off to a really good start. Again, I don't want to say he's playing with house money because it's not. It's a true quarterback battle, but I think myself and everybody else kind of assume okay, well, George MacIntyre's been here. He knows the coaches. He knows the system. He certainly was carrying himself like QB1, but he still hasn't played hardly at all and still didn't get a ton of practice reps, once the season got going and they got in team and all that. So two guys that are very raw, just kind of going at it. And I think Faizon Brandon has done a much, I don't want to say better. I think he's just adapted quicker than anybody would have assumed.
By the way, it's already happened. I saw a national media member talking about how much he likes Brandon Faizon. So,
already happened. Yep.
The first last name, it's going to happen. Educate yourself. Real quick, receivers. What have we seen from them so far? Obviously, Mike Matthews. We know how super talented he is, and probably projects to be the number one guy. But some of those incoming freshmen, from Tristan Keys to Tyreek King, I know are super talented as well.
No doubt. You got Mike Matthews, you mentioned. Braylon Staley, had over 800 yards receiving last year. He's back in the slot. And those two guys are out there working every day. But, the story is Rodarius Jackson and Travis Smith. Those two guys are battling to try to be that starter opposite of Mike Matthews to replace Chris Brazel, who's off to the NFL. TK Keys, he's here. He's been limited some, going through some soft tissue stuff, so he's not been full speed for the majority of spring practice. When he is full cleared and ready to roll, he'll be in that competition as well, but he's doing as much as he can. Tennessee's receiver room just looks different, man. They're big. They're physical. The two guys I just mentioned, Rodarius Jackson and Travis Smith, just bigger guys, but they're very fluid. They're filled out, I guess is what I'm trying to say, whereas Chris Brazel was really tall and lanky, but was such a good route runner because he was a former slot receiver. Got a little bit of that in here as well, but more physical, I would say. So it's been a fun battle watching those guys go in and out. I think they both had some highs and some lows here in spring ball. TK Keys will be in that conversation. Tyreek King is actually not an early enrollee. He's still in high school. They don't allow for guys to be mid-year, from his high school, can't leave mid-year. So once he gets on campus, I think they love him in the slot to add some added depth for Braylon Staley there. So, again, it still feels like it's kind of few in numbers, but, man, Tennessee's wide receiver room is loaded with a lot of talent. Kelsey Pope's been on a nice run. Just picked up a commitment from Keyshawn Bowman, one of the best receivers in the class here in the mid-state. So Tennessee's wide receiver room is rolling right now.
Okay, so not Tristan, TK Keys is what
it's weird. You go through the whole recruiting process, and it's Tristan. And I've seen TK a couple of times. When he got to Tennessee, he said he wanted to go by TK, so TK Keys.
The one I remember from years ago, LSU was recruiting a 5-star corner by the name of Patrick Johnson the whole time. Patrick Johnson. And he gets to LSU and goes, I go by Patrick Peterson. And thus became one of the greatest corners of all time. But
I know that guy.
The name changes are always weird.
It's also funny, too. Jared Garantano was here for 5 years. And up until the media availability before his senior day, I guess the second time, it wasn't even him. It was somebody came up and like, hey, it's Garantano. We're like, you mean for 5 years we've been saying Tano, like Jared Garantano? No, it's Tano, Garantano. We're like, what? So like, we're like, hey, do you pronounce your name Garantano? And he's like, yeah, I never wanted to correct you guys. It's no big deal. I got him out. That's like, dude, that's our job. So for 5 years calling him the wrong name. Oh, that happens from time to time.
There was I remember Tyrod Taylor at one point in the NFL. He said, no, I go by Tyrod. And I was like, okay, well, we've been saying Tyrod for a decade. So
yeah.
Now, it's always odd.
Way Day is here. And if you've been thinking about upgrading your space, now's the time to do it. We're talking about some of the best deals of the year on furniture, decor, outdoor essentials, everything you need to refresh your home. During the Way Day, Wayfair is offering up to 80% off with fast free shipping on everything, making it easy to find pieces that fit your style and your budget. It's super easy to filter by style, size, and price, so you're not just wasting time scrolling to try to find what you want. Reviews and photos help you feel confident in what you're getting, and Wayfair verified products are vetted by specialists so you know exactly the quality that you're getting, whether it's upgrading a room, adding outdoor pieces, or just finding something that ties your specific space together. It makes the whole process simple from start to finish. Way Day is the sale to shop the best deals in home. We're talking about 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. Head on over to wayfair.com April 25th through April 27th to shop Way Day. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home, you can get it with Wayfair. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade with Intuit TurboTax. Now having in-person locations nationwide, you can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert. Get your documents uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's a relief of walking in and meeting with a real person and walking out knowing that your taxes have been handled the correct way. Head on over to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today with TurboTax.
All right, continue our conversations with Eric Cain. I do want to talk some big picture stuff with you, but one more note on the Vols. Deshaun Bishop, top 5 rusher in the SEC this year. Is that a lock?
I mean, you feel good about that. Certainly, you look at where he was last year, his yards per carry. I think he finished 4th in the SEC last year. I think he'll probably get a little bit more run. Tennessee certainly kind of does a share load back there, but he's the lead back. And man, just one of the greatest stories, man. I mean, he was at Carnes High School and walk on and suffered injuries earlier in his career. And man, he's patient and just stayed the course. And he reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, I'm not saying he's going to be Le'Veon Bell, but his running style, he gets it. He's patient, lets things kind of develop in front of him. Then he hits the hole really hard. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's, I don't want to call it a lock, I guess, but you got to feel really good about Deshaun Bishop being certainly one of the top 5 rushers in the SEC, but kind of finishing there by season's end with the way they kind of distribute the ball behind him. He shouldn't get 20 carries a game, but I bet he'll get about 15, 16 touches.
Talking with our guy Eric Cain, I wanted to present this to you. We were talking about this earlier in the show. The guys at Next Round Live did their SEC quarterback rankings. Again, it's subjective, but it's so hard, Eric, when you got battle still going on. It's like, how do you say George MacIntyre and Faizon Brandon are both the 11th best quarterback in the SEC? But just kind of looking at their rankings, anything stand out to you immediately?
I mean, 1 through 3 could be interchangeable. I mean, it's hard for me not to have Trinidad number 1 based on what he did last year. Sam Levitt comes into this league. We know what he did at his previous stop, and he's going to be up there. Arch really turned it on the last couple of games, back half of the season, I guess. I think 1 through 3 is interchangeable. Stockton's solid there at 4. Marcel Reed is so, I don't know. When you put him at, he's clearly not the best passer in this league. but there's more to playing quarterback in 2026 than throwing the football. It feels, I heard you say this, it feels disrespectful having him that low. Maybe I'd slide him up one more. Until I see Byron Brown do it in the SEC, I'm putting him down. Probably would have John McIntyre ahead of the Bama quarterbacks. And then there, I think it's about fair. Sellers, pair him with an offensive coordinator that is worth something that would make sense for him. And then after that, I don't know. I honestly think 11 through 16 can be in any order. I think Taylor, Mississippi State's got a lot of upside. I think Faizon for Tennessee's got a ton of upside. Jerry Curtis, of course. I think 11 through 16 is kind of a jumbled spot there. 1 through 3, you could have any other order. Maybe move Marcel Reed up from 6 to 5. John Matera up from 8 to 7. Outside of that, I think I'm okay. Outside of all those changes, I think it makes a whole lot of sense.
Well, and here's the tough conversation: is whatever you think of Austin Simmons, Eli Drinkwitz has seemed to get the most out of his quarterbacks. He's a good offensive mind, and he's got Riley's brother in there, Garrett Riley, and some other big offensive minds. That the OC came over from Michigan. And then you talk about Lane Kiffin, okay, whatever you think of Sam Levitt, now enter it of Lane Kiffin gets the most out of his quarterbacks. And then to tie this in also, the same thing with Josh Heupel. Whoever the Tennessee quarterback is, yes, young, raw, but you give a boost because of Heupel. And so that's the other part of this conversation is no matter how good you think this quarterback is, you have to put it with the concept of also you're putting him with a great offensive mind that's going to put him in a position to succeed.
It's a really good point, and that's why, from a national perspective, even a regional perspective, it's George MacIntyre, Faizon, Brandon, Tennessee's in trouble, 8 wins, 7 wins. It's well, hold on, the defense is clearly going to be better, clearly. The wide receivers, you bring back 2 guys who had over 800 yards receiving. You bring back a starting tight end that played a ton last year. You bring back 5 guys on the offensive line who started 7 games last year, at least. Bring back a 1,000-yard rusher. And you have a young quarterback, whether it's George, G-Mac, or Faizon Brandon, and you couple that with Josh Heupel, who, again, Joe Milton was a really solid quarterback here at Tennessee. Was he all SEC? No, he wasn't, but he was a 3,000-yard total guy. Joe Milton was. And Joey Aguilar, again, got here in mid-May with no spring practice and led the SEC in passing. And Nico Iamaleava, he certainly wasn't one of the better quarterbacks in the league, but he was the quarterback of a team as a redshirt freshman that went to the playoffs. So, yeah, you got to give the benefit of the doubt a lot to whoever it's, one of those guys, Simmons or, Sam Levitt, but also if it's George MacIntyre or Faizon Brandon, because Josh Heupel, Joey Halsey have proven that they're going to get the best out of their guys by putting them in positions to go and do what they do the best. Now they're trying to figure out right now, what do you do the best in our system? And that's kind of what spring ball is all about.
Yeah, and the thing with Nico, I think what we forget is that was his first time starting.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bad with good, and they were still a 10-2 playoff team. So, I mean, that's the crazy part is Faizon Brandon and George MacIntyre, whoever wins that job, doesn't have to be outstanding. They just have to be good. And I think the key number that year was, 5 interceptions for Nico? He took care of the football mostly.
No, he did. And he had a really good run game with Dylan Sampson. He had a really good defense, top 10 defense. So he certainly was propped up with some of those areas. I don't think that Tennessee's quarterback's going to have as good of a defense, although I think it's going to be better. Should have a really good run game, but not a run game that's going to go for 3,000 yards like Dylan Sampson and company did that year. But Josh Heupel quarterbacks really do protect the football. Go back. Hendon Hooker never turned it over. Joe Milton didn't turn it over. Nico's 5 interceptions, I believe, were maybe Milton had 5 as well, but Nico's 5 were like high. And then you get Joey Aguilar in here. You got to take the good with the bad, right? He's going to turn it over. And he was dealing with that benign tumor there towards the end of the year when I think some of that contributed to his late season turnovers. So Joey was going to turn it over some, but hey, Joey also led the SEC in passing. So typically, Joey Aguilar being the outlier, Josh Heupel quarterbacks really do take care of the football. And that's something that obviously helps them grow and helps this offense succeed and score more points.
Last thing, Eric, this was in the news yesterday. Alabama AD saying that the SEC championship game should be no more. There seems to be some growing sentiment of people saying we need to eliminate conference football championship games. Where do you come down on that? Do you think we need to get rid of the SEC championship?
I mean, I do. I think it serves no point. And I know old school football fans and maybe even you, Gordy, I don't know. I'm not calling you old, but I enjoy the conference championship game. I always have, but right now in this current era of college football with the playoff, it does more harm than good. I mean, it does. Clearly, You're not going to punish the loser of that game, okay? And the winner, I mean, sure, you might move up to get a bye, and that's beneficial, but you get guys out there playing an extra game to where you could get hurt and really mess things up for you down the line. So I just think it's... But then you look at the other power conferences. Like, you win your conference championship game, you get in. Clemson was not going to get in, until they got in, because they won their conference championship. I would be all for a play-in, right? I mean, I think it'd be kind of fun to take, the SEC's probably going to get, 3 or 4 or whatever, but you play in to get that 4th or 5th spot and use that week to kind of do that. I know that's big picture, just kind of having fun here, but overall, should they have it? Should they not have it? No, I don't think they should have it anymore because I think it's more trouble than it's worth. It's a moneymaker. That's why they continue to have it. It just doesn't serve the same purpose that it did, even 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, in the 90s, it was all about, man, can I get to Atlanta? If you get to Atlanta, that's an accomplishment. If you win the SEC championship, that's a dream. Oh, my God, we won the conference championship. And then in the 2000s, it got to, okay, well, story tells in the BCS era, if you get to the SEC championship game and win it, you're going to play for a national championship. And that kind of became the story. Then in the 14 playoff, it was like, all right, even if you get there and lose, you might still get into the 14 playoff like Alabama did. And then from there, going to a 12-team playoff, it matters less and less, as less as it's ever mattered.
Yeah, if your number one goal is to I don't even think about the SEC championship game when I'm kind of setting out Tennessee's goal. It's like, okay, well, you need to finish here in the SEC. You finish here with 9 to 10 wins. Even if it's 9 wins, you're going to be on that brink of the college football playoff. You can get into the CFP right now with arguably 3 losses, and so. Again, there's no, the SEC championship game doesn't even register. And part of that is it's been forever since Tennessee's played in it. I get that. I know. But also, you don't need it. You can be in the college football playoff, have a pretty good seed, and you just don't need it. So when it starts becoming an afterthought or oh, yeah, what about the SEC championship game? I know it makes a whole lot of money, but it's just really, it's not a priority anymore. So, I mean, I would agree. I don't know when it'll happen, how it'll happen. At some point, it will not be a thing. I just, how quickly are we going to get there?
Yeah, go to Athens right now. Tell me if they're talking about one of two things. One, we've lost 2 straight years in the playoff and one and done in the playoff. That's got to change. Or are they going, man, we're back-to-back SEC championship winners? Nobody's saying that. So, nope. Again, it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's bad to win it, but it's just who's talking about that? It's all about the playoff and did you make it and did you make a deep run? That's all.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. It's a moneymaker and it's you and I are watching it. We're watching it. I'm going to watch it every year. But, it's easier to watch when you don't have a dog in the fight, knowing that you're set up to already be in the CFP.
Yeah, I mean, you got Ole Miss is sitting there last year watching that game going, we're getting ready for a playoff game. We don't even care who wins between Georgia and Bama. He is Eric Cain. Of course, keep it locked to Locked On Vols for all the latest with the Tennessee quarterback battle. He'll be tracking that all throughout the rest of the spring. Eric, thanks for the time, man.
Thanks, Chris.